What is going on, people? Triple M back again with another video. I hope you guys are doing well. It's the morning after an historic night in Europe as Atalanta stunned and silenced the footballing world by beating Leverkusen 3-0. And what a treacherous journey they had on their route to the final in the Europa League. I mean, they had to go through Liverpool, they had to go through Sporting Lisbon, and now a team that was almost going to complete an invincible season in Bayer Leverkusen had they have won that game. And so you look at the opposition that Atalanta have had to come up against, and there are no doubts in anybody's mind, especially those of Atalanta fans who've been watching them all season, that they thoroughly and utterly deserve to win that trophy. 62 years it's taken them to win a major trophy, and for the first time ever in their history, they're winning a European trophy, which is massive. And the hero of the show, the star of the movie, is Lookman as he scores a hat-trick in the final, right? This is monumental because I believe he became the first African player to score more than one goal in a European final, right? Scoring a hat-trick in the final for your team against a team that is invincible in their own league and on the night was potentially going to go invincible in all competitions is huge. The level of bottle, the level of poise, and the level of calmness that it takes, plus the ability to execute on the grandest stage of them all, is unbelievable because those goals were good quality goals. All three of them. I think the first two in particular, right? Lookman, the first goal, it looks like he should be hitting that with his weaker foot just because of the angle, but he's like, no, I'm going to hit it with my left, even though the angle is unfavorable, and he puts it in the top corner. And then the second goal from long range, just an absolute perler of a delivery into the back of the net. It was sublime. And the third goal was just the cherry on top of the proverbial cake, which Lookman made yesterday evening. But it wasn't just about him because Atalanta bossed the game against Leverkusen. Yes, Leverkusen had more possession, as they often do under Xabi Alonso, but they showed something that I've been saying for a long time, and something that many of you who watch my channel have been saying for a long time, that there's more than one way to control a game of football. You don't need a lot of possession to control a game of football. And Atalanta, when they play under Gasperini and they get it right, are one of the most beautiful teams to watch when they're defending. A big part of that is the level of trust and chemistry that has been cultivated by Gasperini in his Atalanta teams. One of the things that always stands out to me about Atalanta, especially when they're defending, is how much they trust each other, right? Whether it's Lookman and Scamacca pressing relentlessly from the front, whether it's Koopmeiners or Edison in the middle of the park, knowing that they can push up really high and be really aggressive because they trust their back line, they trust their wing backs in Zappacosta and Riggory, right? The level of trust and the way these guys know that they don't need to look over their shoulder because they know the guy behind them is doing their job. They know the guy on the left, the guy on the right is doing their job, and all they need to do is focus on themselves and occasionally fill in the blanks whenever there are open spaces. It is truly remarkable. And to have such a fluid system that just relies on cohesion, that relies on trust, and that relies on good individual principles, it's a very tricky thing to get right because managers who take that approach are often seen as less tactically astute because they give their players more freedom and more license to make their own decisions. But in reality, I actually think that is the more admirable style because you're not micromanaging every aspect of your players. You're literally giving them the tools and the foundation to succeed, and you're saying, now go on out there and fly. I feel like Gasperini doesn't really get the respect he deserves and the admiration he deserves from the wider footballing community. Obviously, fans of Atalanta and people who watch Serie A football probably have a level of respect for Gasperini that is appropriate, but most of us don't really know much about this guy. I'll be the first to admit that I didn't really know much about Gasperini until he arrived at Atalanta and watched him work season in, season out to turn this team into what they are today. And I think I am slowly falling in love with this manager because I genuinely think what he's doing there is admirable. But we've got to talk about Leverkusen because obviously it is heartbreaking. I think a lot of people who were non-Leverkusen fans wanted Leverkusen to win for the fairy tale, to see them complete one of the greatest seasons of all time. I think this Leverkusen team is probably one of the most likable teams universally as far as the wider footballing world is concerned. I'm obviously not talking about Bayern fans and Dortmund fans and fans of maybe teams that they would be rivals of in the Bundesliga, but for the rest of us, right, who don't support a team in the Bundesliga, I think this Leverkusen team is one of the most likable teams in a while. And Xabi Alonso is a very likable manager. His style of football is very pleasing on the eye and very entertaining entertaining, and it's very sulky, right? And so when it's sulky and it's effective and it's winning trophies and it's not losing any games across an entire calendar season, what is there not to like about a team like that with all these exciting young players? I mean, Wirtz being the one that stands out the most, but there are others as well. It's hard not to like this team. I think if Leverkusen had won that final, it would have been, for me, the undisputed greatest achievement in club history. To go invincible across 3 different competitions and to win all 3 of them, especially when one of them is a European competition, for me, instantly cements you as the greatest team of all time. And I think Xabi Alonso definitely would have had to be in the conversation for maybe not greatest manager of all time, because he's obviously still very young in his managerial career, but he definitely would have been up there if he continued on this upward trajectory. You know, I think that has to be said. And I think that Leverkusen, despite not getting to that dream, despite not fulfilling that dream, they still have a chance to win the Deutsche Pokal. And if they do, it's still a remarkable season anyways. Going invincible in the Bundesliga and completing a domestic double whilst doing it is truly amazing, and it's something to be proud of. And look, if there is a team that you're going to want to lose to in a final, I think it is Gasperini's Atalanta, because they are just as likable in my opinion. But that's just me. Maybe some of you disagree. Let me know in the comments down below. It's been your boy Triple M. Peace.